This video is about asking questions. Recently, I have seen that the questions really start lacking quality and thought behind one's question. In this video, specially dedicated to avoid this problem, I will show you the difference between a good and a bad question, as well as how to ask a good question, and most importantly, how to develop and structure one. Now, let's first talk about what is a bad question. For that, I have picked out an example. Tesla, thoughts. Now, when you really think about this question, what is one supposed to get out of this question? How is one supposed to answer this question? There are a million ways you could answer it. I, for example, would just say, Tesla, thoughts. Tesla, it's a stock. Question is done. There's nothing more to say. I know it's a lot when starting out, especially when you just started the courses or are working your way through the courses. But still, that's not an excuse to ask bad questions. They lack quality, information and structure. They are just outsourced thoughts. Never would you think to incorporate structure, clarity and information. Don't just dump everything you can think of into the question and not structure it at all. Take your time to ask and develop a question. Don't rush it. It is for your own benefit. And most importantly, what happens if you ask a bad question? The answer we give will not be enough. That's the result. As in physics, you've probably learned this. Angle of incidence equals angle of reflection. That means, if you ask a vague question, you will get a vague answer. But how should you ask? How should you structure a question? Let's look at the fundamentals of asking good questions. First of all, many of your questions can really be solved within a couple of seconds. And if you're trying to ask a question, go to these steps. First, Google your question. Most of the questions can be solved within one Google search. For example, what is a long put? You don't have to ask that. You can Google it and you will find many results and even YouTube videos explaining what a long put is. So first step should be Googling your question. The second step should be look again in your notes when scrolling through the videos, and if you can find it in your notes, go through the videos again, and after you couldn't find any solution to your question or any sufficient answer, ask in the chats. And now comes the delicate art of asking questions. Think about these factors. Why are you asking the question? Are you just asking the question to ask a question, if you know what I mean? Or are you really trying to get information and use it later on? And there's a visible difference between these two factors. If you're just asking a question to ask a question and not think any much more behind it, we will see that it's a shallow question. The second and utterly important part is, does it contain enough detail? As well, is it clear enough? Are you providing enough detail in your question for us to work with? And is it clear enough? Is it just a mind map you've put into 1 or 2 or 3 or a whole paragraph? Does it have structure? Yes or no? These are simple yes or no questions. And about the does it contain enough detail question, keep it on a need to know basis. Let's say you want to make an analysis and you have done your analysis fantastically, but you input any information you can find. So what I mean is, are you focusing on what is necessary or are you including everything? Now, does this detail, for example, if you're making a trade, does the detail of how much money should I put into this trade make a difference? No, it doesn't. Keep it on a need to know basis. It doesn't change the trade itself. If you put in more or less money, it's still the same trade. And we don't need this information. And next thing is, what tactics are you using? Are you using a box system or zone-to-zone trading or whatever system you use? Incorporate that. And what's your plan? Are you just trying to make an analysis or are you really trying to make a trade? That's what you have to think about when asking a question. Does it contain enough detail? Is it clear enough? Don't include too much information that is not needed. Remember, does it really have to be in there, this piece of information, or is it not necessary? What tactics are you using? What is your plan? And then, why are you asking this question? Go to these steps again before sending the question. And after you have answered every single question I have just listed here, then you can go to the grammar part. In the grammar part, it should be focusing on your grammar, of course. Are the verbs correct? The nouns, is it written correctly? Is the structure appealing? Is it just one long paragraph and we have to read through every single word and maybe miss one essential word? Focus on interpunctuation. So make commas, points, dashes, as many as needed to make it as clear as possible. And if you're making it appealing to read, it's easier for us to answer your question. Don't just blob everything into one long paragraph. Really take your time to fully develop your question. And a tip here is reverse the roles. Pretend that you're the person that has to answer this question. Are you really happy asking this question? Does it contain enough detail? Go through the entire list again and then decide, okay, that's a good question, and I can ask it without feeling ashamed or being in the situation of, okay, this may be a bad example of a question. And after reversing the roles and going through the lists many of times, as well as structuring your question, send it and it will be appealing. Now let's go through a couple of questions that are bad, and I will also tell you why they are bad and how you could improve them. Number 1, I'm confused. I don't know where to start. Please help. I see this a lot of times. The students don't really take time to navigate. They don't want to be familiar with the platform at first. You have to be familiar and test things out on the platform. Your first step after joining this campus or any campus shouldn't be, okay, I have joined and now I should ask the question, where do I start? That's the second question. Or, I don't know where to start. They are somewhat the same question, and it just shows you're lazy. You don't want to do the work by yourself. Do the work by yourself, and after you couldn't find anything, not even the Start Here channel, then you can ask the question. But ask it like this: I have joined this campus and I can seem to find my way around it. I have tried looking around, but I somewhat cannot grip where I should start. Can you please help me, or can you please aid me to where I should start? And that's a well question. And if you're asking this question as a newbie, you'll be looked at differently than just, where do I start? Or, I'm confused, please help. Next would be the thoughts. I see so many thoughts questions in the AMA, in the Ask the Professors chat, newbie chat, Lost Souls. It's a terrible and utterly, for me, disrespectful question you can ask, because you are lazy. You don't want to do the work, and just everything should be delivered to you on a silver pallet and everything will be given to you. That's not the case. Tesla thoughts can be easily turned into a good question. How can it be? Let's say Tesla is at $250 right now, and I will have an example for that later on. Say, I have zones at this and this and this level, and I'm looking for a breakout out of this consolidation for a move to this and this level where my take profits should be. Is my analysis correct? Yes or no? And that's a well-structured question. Next would be earnings thoughts question. It isn't a necessarily bad question as Tesla thoughts. It still is a bad question, don't get me wrong. You should really ask it differently. Microsoft earnings thoughts can be retranslated into a better question. For example, Microsoft will have their earnings published after close today. Do you think they will have a bullish or bearish reaction? It's the same question, but so much better. It's more elegant and more appealing to answer. Number 5, what broker should I use? Again, you're just lazy. You don't even take the time to scroll through the courses and see what is there. You will see once you're in the introduction section. Broker setup, and 5 or 6 times a day we will send you this document, or many students, only because you are lazy and are not willing to do the work by yourself, to take the time and look through the courses. So, what broker should I use? Can be translated to either no question, just by scrolling through the courses, or I have looked here and here and here, BA Pro, Trading Basics, and I cannot find the broker link. Where in the courses is the broker link? That's a better question to ask. Or if it's more specific, I have tried Tasty Trade and Choice Trade, but I can't wrap my head around them. Are there any other brokers I can use? Yes, there are. I mean, this question can be answered by revisiting the broker document, but if you already have experience with a couple of brokers, then other people can give their consent and say, yes, I use Interactive Brokers and that's very fine. It's just a better question to ask. Next would be, should I buy or short Nvidia? I've just picked Nvidia as an example. Why, again, are you lazy? You don't want to do the analysis and everything should be handed to you on a silver tablet. That's not the case. It's just a lazy question, and it shows that you're not willing to do the work and not willing to do the analysis on your own. Maybe because you're not able to receive feedback, negative feedback. So if you're having a zone and you say, I have a zone at 430, but I don't see a zone there, for example, and say, I don't see a zone there, but I see one at 435, to not be offended. That's your case then. But should I buy or short? That's just a terrible question to ask, because either we or Prof or any other people cannot give their consent if you should buy or short something. That's solely your decision if you enter or leave a trade. Then number 7, what stock will rise tomorrow? I see this question more and more, and if you figure that question out, really think about it again. If you can answer this question with a fully confident mind and mindset, then you will be a millionaire tomorrow. And you'll probably be some witch or a witcher, because nobody can tell what stock or index will rise or fall tomorrow. Nobody can do that. We can only tell the probability of price going higher when reaching or breaking above and holding above this level is to the next zone, which will be higher. But we cannot look into the future, and we will not know what will happen in the markets. Not even 5 seconds in the future. That's not possible. Next would be thoughts on bull bear run before earnings on Meta. Again, Meta is just an example. Thoughts on bull bear run before earnings can be translated to: do you think the current bull or bear run before the earnings release on Meta will affect how price will act once they release their earnings? That's just a way better question to ask. Don't get me wrong, it's an okay-ish question. But again, thoughts is just a trigger word for many professors. 9. Levels for Apple. You just, again, are lazy and don't want to do the work. Share your thoughts with us. Share your levels and we can comment, yes, these levels are fine. 10. Any ideas for JPM? If I get this question, or prof, I don't know what the hell you are talking about. What are you trying to get out of this question? I need ideas for JPM. Do you want to enter a trade? Are you in a trade? Are you planning a long-term investment, a swing or a scalp? We don't know. This question can be translated to my example afterwards. Number 11. What are you buying today and why? I've seen this question and is an example from a student. Why do you care what other people are buying? And their reasons for it can be quite intriguing. Yes, I know. But why are you trying to get a copy trade? For example, if you're following Prof's system or any other system, you will see many opportunities and don't have to ask what you're buying today or any other person is buying today. And if Prof enters a position, doesn't mean that you have to enter a position. You get what I mean? Number 12 is a favorite, as well as number 13 and 14. They're all somewhat correlated to the same thing. Number 12, 13 and 14 are, let's get to 12 first. Long-term investment. You just post the name of a channel. What are we supposed to do with that piece of information? We don't know anything. Give us more detail on it. I cannot even rephrase this question to make it make sense, because we cannot know what are you talking about or what are you thinking about, what is going on between your ears in your brain. We cannot comprehend that and cannot look into it, as well as just the name of an underlying. Okay, you've given us the name of underlying. Google. How would I answer that? Google is a stock. Finished. It's the same thing, just one word. It's not sufficient. It's not enough. As well as, where are the signals? I see this question many times. Now, I think some other campuses do have signals and we don't in stocks, and for a good reason. If you're trying to get to a channel and cannot find the channel, ask like this: I have looked in this and this and this channel, but I cannot see where Prof comments on the current price action. Can you point me in the correct direction? That's just a more pleasant way of asking this question. Now, I will get to my example. This is a good question and I've chosen a virtual stock. I've named it B and read through it. Hello, professor. I see stock B currently at $100. It currently is in a 50 MA box on the daily charts. I am looking for a break and hold above $104 to see a move to my next daily zone of 110, which will be my first take profit. Following 110 will be my final take profit at $120. My stop loss would be in the middle of the box at $98. I will pick an option with the strike $107 and expiration of 5 weeks. Is my analysis correct, or does it need change? If you're the professor and now reverse the roles, what can you do with this question? You know, okay, I see, you're looking at stock B and I can look at the chart as well. And then, again, go through the list. Why are you asking this question? I am asking this question because I want to know what you think of my plan. And that already incorporates another point in my list. What's your plan? I'm planning on taking a trade to the next 2 zones. Does it contain enough detail? Yes, it does. Absolutely. And not too much. I see stock B. It is at $100. Good. It is in a 50 MA box. Good. It is on the daily charts, the 50 MA box. Even better. I'm looking for a break and hold above $104. I can see, okay, this will be your entry. And your take profits are at $110 and $120. Your stop loss in the middle of the box at $98. I can visualize your trade and see, yes, it will be a good trade. I can also comment it. I can say, I don't see the 50 MA box. I see a base box. That is a good correction. That can happen, of course. And need to know basis here. Do I have to put in the number or the amount of what should I put into this trade? No, it doesn't matter. It's still the same trade. And of course, with your analysis here, you can already tell, yes, you are using box system as well as zone-to-zone trading. And that is a well-structured question. When you're doing analysis, ask your questions like this. And of course, not only in trading, in every life situation. Now, to finish it off once again, how you ask a question shows us the effort you put into it. And if you're willing to do the work. And the next time you ask a question, if you make a good one, we know it will be a good one. You build your own reputation, not only through sharing charts and ideas in the chats, but also through asking these good quality questions. And I cannot stress this enough. It is an absolute necessity to ask good quality questions. You will stand out by asking them. And once again, take your time to ask and develop a well-structured question. If you have any questions left from your side to this video, please tag me in the chats.